All right. Welcome to the introductory video to our Detox and Cleanse Masterclass. And I'm super psyched to have you guys join me on this journey because this is one topic in particular that I think is so important, so misunderstood, and I'm very passionate about because it's so important. It has major impacts on our health, how our wellness is, and disease prevention. And people just underestimate the impact that food and nutrition and lifestyle has on these factors and how you can really move the needle with the daily changes, small daily changes that I'm going to teach you throughout these next 2 weeks. Now, one of my major focuses and keys at Chef Theory Health is helping people learn to love food again while they're achieving their health and wellness goals and getting away from the restrictive common approach to diet theory and most common diets, which is viewing nutrition and food through a restrictive lens, which results in a negative relationship with food and a roller coaster of results and typically not sustainable in the long term. So we're going to view our detoxification and cleanse workshop through this same lens, getting away from the common restrictive approach that most people take to detoxification in embracing the healing power of food. And I'm going to jump into the very specifics of it, of our detoxification processes in the body and which nutrients they take and why these restrictive, whether it's a juice cleanse, a detox in a box that's labeled as a colon cleanse, a liver cleanse, or the activated charcoals and the clays that people are taking, and they're majoring in the minors. They're focusing on the small details and they're missing the big picture. They're viewing a room through a keyhole and they don't see the big picture here, and they're really not helping their detoxification processes. And quite often people do these detoxes and they feel worse than when they started. And I'm going to jump into a lot of the details and show you guys why that is and how we can have long-term sustainable results by focusing on our detoxification processes. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple. And I hope to show you guys it can also be easy and delicious at the same time. So I'm excited to have you join me on this journey. Let's jump into the overview of this. I'm going to introduce you to my topics and my concept and how I view a cleanse and a detoxification. And then we're going to see how we're going to implement this going forward. So I posted this overview in the community, the Chef Theory Health community. So make sure that you are checking out anything I'm posting in the community on a daily basis. Use it as a support mechanism for any questions you have, whether it's the content, the educational content that I'm doing, or the recipes or anything else we're doing in this challenge throughout the 2 weeks. Now, the overview is simple, right? I said I'm going to keep it simple because down the road, we're going to get into some of the weeds and some complex topics, and I'm going to be throwing words around like sulfurification, glutathione, antioxidants, methylation, and all these processes that are happening in the body. And always keep it simple, back it up, and just focus on these 4 or 5 things. And you're going to take care of everything you need with the detoxification processes. So what are we going to do in this challenge? We're going to focus on prioritizing protein. We're going to eat the rainbow with a wide variety of colorful plant foods and whole grains. We're going to focus on gut health and bowel movements. We're going to drink plenty of water, and we're going to prioritize sleep. Now, these things all seem simple enough. I'm going to break them down and we're going to view everything we do through these lenses, and everything we're going to do is going to lead back to these 5 keys here. And I just want to tell you, anybody that is talking about a detoxification program and they don't talk about poop and they don't talk about sleep is somebody that's missing the whole process. And we'll jump into that when I'm talking about phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. But really, when you're sleeping, is when your detoxification processes are happening. And these processes really to me are like the janitorial services of our body. Throughout the day, we're consuming nutrients and bringing resources into the body, and we're actually causing minor levels of cellular damage on a daily basis. It's a normal process that our body goes through. And then at nighttime, the janitorial services come through and they help clean up all this cellular debris and this oxidative stress that we get exposed to on a daily basis, help use the nutrients to do this, and then in the morning, take it out with our bowel movements. That's the process that we're looking for here. So anybody that's not focusing on all 3 steps, bringing in the nutrients needed for the process of detoxification, when we're sleeping, and how, by going to the bathroom, those are the complete elements of detoxification. And I'm going to show you how to support each one of those 3 steps throughout these next 2 weeks. Now, let's define some terms right out of the gate. First of all, how do I view a cleanse? People might say, might have different views on this, but I want to show you how we're going to talk about it and how I approach these 2 concepts throughout these next 2 weeks. And to me, a cleanse is decreasing our exposure to these toxic, burdensome elements. And I'm going to show you what those elements are in an introductory level in the next slide. But then in the next video, when I on how to pick your drops in the bucket. I'm going to jump into much more specifics on those and how you can specifically decrease them. But to me, these are the inputs. How do we decrease the inputs of burdensome toxic elements into our body? And so that's the cleanse portion. And then the second portion of this challenge in this 2-week workshop is detoxification. And this is what's happening inside of our bodies. We're going to increase our body's ability to handle, remove, neutralize these burdensome toxins that we're just exposed to on a daily basis. And you can't avoid completely all of those things. We're going to reduce our inputs, we're going to increase our outputs, and that's how we can improve our symptoms of poor health, whether it's fatigue, brain fog, hormone imbalance, blood sugar levels, mood stability, and energy levels. These things all will increase. These things are all biomarkers or markers of poor health. Weight gain is one of the major ones included too. That's what most people come to me for. But really, those are all symptoms of poor health within the body. And poor health within the body increases our risk of developing the chronic diseases. And ultimately, that's what we want to avoid. And by increasing the efficiency of our detoxification processes within the body, we are going to reduce our risk of developing these chronic diseases and living a longer, happier, healthier life. And that's ultimately what all of our goals are. Weight loss is just one little part of that. And these detoxification processes will help us do that. So those are the two parts of the challenge. The first thing we're going to focus on is the cleanse element, and the second part of it is the detoxification process, which are the nutrients that we're eating throughout the entire 2-week challenge. So let me show you a quick little visual that I think helps me understand how this happens in the body. So to me, this metaphor, this visual was the best way that I visualize it, and I ever heard it explained in the way I understand it within the body of detoxification. And if the bucket really represents our health and our ability to handle a toxic load within the body, to handle stress within the body. Now, when we're born, we have a drain at the bottom of the bucket, and that's our ability to get rid of toxins. And really, when I say toxins, I just mean burdensome elements in the body. Toxins are just molecules that are unstable or foreign in the body that you have to get rid of. Otherwise, they're going to cause cellular damage and oxidative stress, which leads to diseased cells, which then when they proliferate is disease within the body and these chronic diseases. So eliminating these foreign, burdensome, toxic elements is a natural process that happens in the body on a daily basis, and where the body's used to doing it. Now, the problem is that all these toxins that are in the environment have increased over time and that we consume on a daily basis. And those are all drops in the bucket that slowly fill that bucket. And then our body's ability to detoxify requires many nutrients that we just don't eat enough of on a daily basis. And slowly that drain starts getting clogged and slowly stops being more efficient and stops draining water more and more and more. So now, as you can see over the years of this takes years to develop, and usually it's manifesting now when we're in our late 30s, 40s, and 50s, these early signs of disease states manifesting within the body. It takes years of that bucket slowly filling. And meanwhile, because we're adding more of these toxins that are shown here, meanwhile, the drain at the bottom of the bucket becomes less and less efficient. We're draining less water. Once that bucket overflows in the body, that's when these disease states manifest. That's when these symptoms of poor health really manifest, is the bucket overflowing in our body. And our genetic makeup dictates how that's going to affect us on a personal basis, right? For some people, it might be heart disease. For some people, it might be colon cancer. For some people, it might be neurocognitive decline. For some people, it might be arthritis in the joints. For some people, it might be diabetes, thyroid, hypothyroidism. It could be a multitude of ways that it manifests within our body, but ultimately it's that bucket overflowing that's really contributing to this. So what's our goal and what's my goal on a daily basis? Let's reduce some of the drops in the buckets. Let's increase the nutrients that increase our ability to drain at the bottom of the bucket and detoxify, and return and establish some order of functional health within the body. And this is going to increase our ability to lose weight. It's going to increase our energy. It's going to help mental clarity. It's going to help hormone balance within the body, which affects so many different things. So let's take a look at these. On the left side of the screen, is really what I consider like the exogenous external chemicals. And this can come from trauma and stress, which creates a hormonal imbalance within the body. Infection and illness adds a burden on our detoxification system. Hygiene products, chemicals and hygiene products, synthetic chemicals in our fabrics, from the clothes we wear to our furniture to the beds and sheets and pillows that we sleep on. Obviously, smoking and drinking is going to add a massive burden on our detoxification systems and bring in a large amount of oxidative stress that we have to balance out, neutralize, and deal with. Drinking adds a large load on our liver, but also disrupts our sleep in a major way. And then our medications, everything from over the counter NSAIDs and ibuprofen and Tylenol, like your liver has to metabolize these. It has to deal with them. It has to devote resources to them. And really, what I'm talking about here, like, why does this matter? Why does detoxification matters? Because when our body is focused on dealing and neutralizing with all of these different chemicals and toxins that we're taking in on a daily basis, it doesn't have those resources to devote to the healthy processes within our body. Okay. And then on the right hand side, we have pesticides, growth hormones, antibiotics. These are the things that we're getting through our food, right? Antibiotics I mentioned on the left side with medications, but antibiotics that our livestock is eating or consuming, they get biotransformed and we consume those as well. If the cow we're eating was heavily injected with antibiotics because they're not kept in healthy states, we're going to get those antibiotics too, guys. And then our body has to deal with detoxifying them. Growth hormones are the same thing I'm talking about with our livestock. Microplastics, heavy metals, and then again, excess hormones in the body. So these are just small examples. When I do the next educational video on how to reduce your drops in the bucket, I'm going to break these down into a couple of different categories and specific products, both on the food side of it and the personal side of it, that'll help you just choose a couple of them. And that's really what we're looking for. This week is all focused on the educational, building the foundation of it. And then over the next week is more of like the implementation and the challenge portion of it. And I'm going to ask you to choose a couple of the things that are drops in the bucket. One, that are the most easily implemented for you on a personal level. And then two, the ones that are, the least impactful to your enjoyment in life. So again, we don't have to get like completely paranoid because we're just completely surrounded by these in the modern day. It's impossible to avoid them all. And we don't have to get hyper focused on avoiding them all. We just have to reduce some of the drops in the bucket while we also increase the ability to detoxify. And so that'll be the second part of the challenge. Now so this is the cleanse portion a little bit more that I'm focused on with this slide, right? These are all the things we can cleanse out. And again, I'll jump into a lot more details on those and specifics for you. Let's take a look at the detoxification side of it that we'll do on this after that. All right, I don't want to scare you with this slide, which has a bunch of complex terms and concepts on it, but I just wanted to show you this as an introductory slide, right? This is why I start with a very simple slide of what's our overview. Prioritize protein, eat the rainbow, focus on gut health and healthy bowel movements, sleep and drink water. All right, those are the simple steps that will support all of these all these complex concepts and processes within the body. Okay, if all we do is focus on those simple things, we will support all of these processes within the body. But I'm just trying to show you and give you a quick glimpse at the complexity of detoxification within the body. That is a multi-phase, very specific two-phase process that happens within the liver for detoxifying from especially fat-soluble toxins. Sometimes when people are talking about detoxification and detoxify and toxins, it can sound very abstract and vague and like, people start to dismiss it as like, all right, he's just kind of off the wagon there and preaching about things that don't seem tangible and real. And so what I want to show you with this, and I'll jump into this slide later. I think it was our third or fourth video. We're going to do phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. Again, don't get overwhelmed with it. You don't need to remember all these terms and processes. Really, all you need to remember are the basics of what I'm teaching you, and then my meal planners do this all for you. But what I'm trying to show you with this slide is that detoxification is very specific process, and it takes very specific resources to do this efficiently on a daily basis. And these are the processes, and these are the resources. The resources come from the nutrients that we eat in our food. And many of these nutrients and resources come from our protein rich foods. They're amino acids, and they're B vitamins, and they're minerals that are rich in our protein rich foods. So when we're doing a juice cleanse, when we're doing a detox in a box, there's no focus on proteins. There's no focus on a full wide variety of nutrients. The juice cleanses will get the antioxidants in, and that's something we're getting to with Eat the Rainbow. But they miss the whole picture. I hope you guys are starting to see how those common detoxification products and processes that are out there that people do, they miss the big picture. They do not fully support your detoxification process. This is a daily process, and we don't have to get overwhelmed with it, but it's comes back to the fundamentals of what I preach. Why I preach prioritize protein, why I preach eat the rainbow, why I prioritize healthy fats and what role they play within the body. And healthy fats also play a role within the body here when it comes to detoxification, as I will explain when I do my phase 1, phase 2 deep dive. So just a quick glance that there's multiple steps, there's multiple processes, biochemical transformational processes happening within the body, specifically in the liver. And there's very specific nutrients that are needed to complete these processes. All right. And so that's why the whole foods based approach is the optimal approach that we're doing here. Whew. All right. So we got into some of the weeds and some of the complexity in the introduction there, but always remembering to keep it simple, back it up, and don't get overwhelmed with it. Some of this is just understanding the why of what I do and what I preach. And it's what I like to do to help my clients a little bit. This whole thing is really just 1 week of my 6-week fundamentals of nutrition course, where I focus on all of the other parts of my really chef's recipe for success. But when it comes to detoxification, we're going to back it up. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to reduce our toxic load, right? We're by picking our drops in the bucket. We're going to drink more water. We're going to prioritize our antioxidant systems, and that's through eating the rainbow and prioritizing protein. The B vitamin complexes are especially important, as you'll see when I do my deep dive into phase 1, phase 2 detoxification. And where do these come from? They come from our protein sources, our whole grains, and our cruciferous vegetables. And that's what I'm focusing on when I build the meal planners. Focusing on prioritizing protein, focusing on making sure we get some whole grains and a variety of whole grains in. And then especially this week, the cruciferous vegetables, and over the next 2 weeks. But I have those as in my weekly meal planners every week. Healthy fats to support cholesterol and bile synthesis. Bile is an important substance within the body that helps the detoxification process. And then we're going to prioritize our sleep. And I snuck in one at the bottom here, an extra one. Exercising 3 times a week. It really helps get the detoxification process moving through the body as well. And so I always prioritize that. I know some of you guys are already doing some exercise, but 3 30-minute sessions a week is where I like to start with clients. So excited to have you guys join me on this journey. I hope I shed a little bit of light and really help shift the mindset of how we approach not only detoxification, but overall health, wellness in the body. And the role that nutrition plays is so great. And it's a lever. It's not the only thing that affects our detoxification and disease manifestation or prevention, but it is a powerful level that people just don't give enough attention to. So I'm excited to have you guys try the meal planners. I'm excited to see in the community. The next video will be on the cleanse portion of it and focusing on some of those and helping you get prepared to which drops in the bucket you're going to choose. And then we'll have the detoxification phase 1, phase 2 deep dive. And then we'll have some Q&A along with the meal planners and recipes. And then next week, talk about kind of long-term sustainable results and where to go from there. Any questions, let me know. Happy eating, guys, and thanks for joining me.